Hi, Nick Dogan, North State Law. We safeguard your professional license so you can get back to business. Today's topic is a duty to report administrative actions to the North Carolina Department of Insurance. So let's do a little dive into this one. There's going to be two different statutes that we speak about today. I don't know why they're in separate statutes. They essentially say the same thing. One is in regards to insurance producers' licenses, which is insurance agents. And then the other one is in regards to public adjusters and public adjusters' licenses. So the first one we'll talk about is going to be the insurance producer's license. That's found in 58 33 34, subsection K, the general statutes of North Carolina. So when we talk about an administrative action, we need to really figure out, well, what is an administrative action? And does it have to be to conclusion before we have to end up reporting it to the North Carolina Department of Insurance? So administrative action is going to be any action taken by some sort of governmental agency. And that doesn't necessarily have to be a state. Don't forget about the federal government. Don't forget about FINRA. Also, don't forget about military organizations, your Army, Navy, Marines, Air Force, Coast Guard, Space Force, maybe. All those have their own internal administrative proceedings. And if you have an administrative action from any of those agencies that I have talked about, or any other government agencies that I have not talked about, and there is a final disposition, that's what it says in the statute. It says final disposition, which would be final outcome of the administrative action. From that time, 30 days window starts for you to get your self-reporting into the Department of Insurance of North Carolina. So you got 30 days from when the final disposition of the administrative action comes to fruition to when you have to report it to the North Carolina Department of Insurance. You don't want to wait till the last minute. We get a lot of clients that come to us, they've got like a week, they got 5 days, they got something like that. Or we've had some people come to us the day before. Then you're scrambling around and you're having to, do a very basic self-report because you don't have enough time to gather all the documentation that you need right away. Or you might say, hey, I've got this happened. I'm getting something in, so I'm compliant with your 30-day window. And then you got to go back and you got to do, a subsequent follow-up, more comprehensive self-report. You are going to need to produce all documentation relating to the final disposition of the administrative action and any documentation relating to the administrative action in the first place from whatever other governmental agency instituted it. So I'm going to take Florida, for example. Say you have an issue with the Florida Department of Insurance, all right? You go through the process, you get a final disposition of the case, you've got 30-day clock starts for you to report it in North Carolina, assuming that you're licensed here and a producer license. So you don't want to rush into it. So I'm not saying you got to get everything in the first week or 5 days or something like that. Again, like I mentioned before, you don't want to wait until the last minute either. You want to gather all the documentation related to the administrative action in the other state or agency or wherever. This particular example, Florida, you get all the documentation from Florida, get everything ready to go. You come up with a written self-report document, and then you produce everything to the North Carolina Department of Insurance at the same time. So the other thing that you do not want to forget about is Florida, any other state, any other federal agency, the military, North Carolina itself, they're not going to send anything to the repository. That is the online, it's actually the National Insurance Producer Registry. So it's basically an online repository, warehouse, whatever you want to call it, where anybody in another state can look up if you've had an action against you. And you're going to be required to upload any final dispositions to that particular spot. So the National Insurance Producers Registry, that's where you need to go to upload any sort of administrative actions. It can be in Florida, it could be in North Carolina, Mississippi, it could be through federal insurance agency like FINRA, or wherever the case may be. That's got to be put on the registry. Like I said, North Carolina is not going to do it. Any other state where the action actually comes from, they're not going to do it. But I will tell you this: North Carolina is going to expect you to do it. So if you're going to have to do the self-reporting of administrative action here, you need to go on the National Insurance Producers Registry, and you need to upload the final disposition of that action onto there. You probably want to likely add another document kind of further explaining what happened if you can, just so you give more of your side of the story. Because a lot of these final dispositions, like say it's a voluntary settlement agreement, one of my other videos I talked about what that is, so check that one out when you get a couple minutes. But say it's a VSA. All right, well, there's going to be very short findings of fact on there. Findings of fact are going to be like, this happened, and then this happened, and this happened, and this is why it was a violation, and so on and so forth. So if whatever document you have, say again from Florida, you got a VSA from there, you want to be able to maybe have a little bit more of an explanation than what it says in the actual document that's being uploaded from whatever government agency. Okay. The other one I talked about was public adjuster's license. That's the same thing. 30 days that any sort of final disposition of administrative action for public adjusters in North Carolina have to be reported to the North Carolina Department of Insurance. That statute is actually 5833A-90 subsection A. So for some reason, different statutes, but same thing, same reporting requirement to the same entity, North Carolina Department of Insurance. So that's pretty much a long and short of reporting administrative actions to the North Carolina Department of Insurance. If you got any questions, please check out the blogs on my website. It's northstatelawfirm.com. You can also check out all the other videos on my YouTube channel. That's North State Law's YouTube channel. And if you still can't find what you're looking for in either one of those spots, please give us a call or a text at 919-521-8810, and you can get a free 15-minute discovery call with a member of my staff. I hope everybody has a fantastic day, and thank you so much for insuring North Carolina. Bye-bye.